are you missing like a filter of trust, like that you don't overthink? You just, because I feel like I always think a lot about what I share, and then you start to talk yourself out of it.
Oh yeah, I used to be that way.
You just trust and you just put it out for whomever.
Trust and I put it out there. Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't go over so well, and sometimes it does, you know?
And how does Justin feel about it? Because I think, you know, I had to tell my husband yesterday that I talked about giving him a hand job on a podcast. And I was like nervous to tell him.
Why? Yeah. Way to keep it moving.
Well, it was with Tracy's oils. You've had the oils. Now you know what to do with them. Yeah. And I was like nervous. He didn't care. He was fine with it. But you know, there is a thing like where I'm always like, what's too far for them? What's too far for my kids? What's too far for my husband? Your family, and you know, you are so out there, and I know Justin kind of is too, but
yeah, I mean, well, he was on, you know, Bravo and Strip with me, for those that know that experience. So I could, but he definitely is more behind the scenes for sure. And he prefers to be like, I've asked more and more to like have him on my stories, and every now and again he'll show up, but it's definitely not his cup of tea. He's kind of told me like, you know, I'll do it for you, but like, it's not my thing, you know. Bravo was very much for me and to support me, you know, even though he was very much like in his naked element. So that's a good question, because I definitely have moments where like, I'll tell him, like I'll say, or I'll even ask his opinion sometimes. Like I'm like, hey, I want to post this about my VBAC, but like, do you feel like these pictures are like too heavy and graphic? Like, or do you think they're okay? And then like he'll look and I'm like, don't do that one, please. Like I don't want that one out there, but like this one's okay. And like you could blur this, and he'll kind of give me, not that I'm getting permission, but just the respect of like, I'm your but I'm, you know, the mother of your children. Like,
well, and the babies are out there all the time. Right. So that's something else, you know, as people who don't have that, but watch it all the time on social, like we always wonder, and our audience is probably wondering, like, what is there a line there? What is the boundary with showing your kids?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting you say that, because I think as I've gotten more and more into like learning the online space and the not so nice people that are online with your children and all that kind of craziness, I definitely have pulled back. I used to show like every single moment of what they were doing, and especially Amelia, like every single thing, or like tagging every single location. Obviously now it's a pandemic, but back in the day I would tag like everywhere we were, and I didn't really think about that. You know, like it wasn't in real time, but still, it was still like the locations that we had been. And so I kind of went back after some time and started like changing on the feed, like the locations are just taking the locations away. So it's definitely something I've been way more mindful. I don't show every single minute. If there's like certain things that are like her like go-tos, like say maybe like a stuffed animal or something, like I try not to like, even if she's holding it, I make her throw it out of the picture, because I don't want there to be things that are like constant things that you realize are like hers that God forbid you could use to get her nice. One day. Nice. Right. But you know what I mean? Like, so in all seriousness, like I have had those conversations with myself and thought about that and try to be, you know, mindful. I did end up making their account private, because I did notice a lot of weird men were starting to follow their account, which is disgusting. That's a whole other conversation. But I definitely, you know, with the girls, I've definitely drawn more boundaries. I think as Amelia gets older and she is, you know, more like conscious of everything going on, I'll probably show her less and less for her own boundaries and her own privacy. With Arlie obviously being a baby right now, I just kind of feel like she's a baby, you know, not as big a deal. And also like they're always with me. I feel like when they're not with me all the time, then I will definitely draw further and further boundaries to make sure like I'm keeping them safe and our family safe, and, you know, just being aware of like their own privacy and boundaries of like their own lives. But my own family has said to me, like, please don't film. Like when I've been with them like on vacations, like they'll draw their boundaries and say like, I'm not comfortable. Or like, I'll say like, can I post this photo like of all of us like on my Instagram? Like, are you okay with that? And so I have to respect those boundaries. And to be honest, in the beginning, it bothered me, because I'm like, well, they're my pictures, but it's like, but no, they're people. Like it's their boundaries. It's not your life. And you know what I mean? And so those are definitely like fine lines, and I'm learning how to navigate them, because I never expected my life to be so public and never expected to share so much. So it's definitely like an ongoing journey. And even with me, honestly, like people will ask me like, you know, well, how come, you know, you don't share like, you know, like your sex life with your husband? I'm like, that's something that I'm just not ready to share. I don't know if I'll ever be ready to share that. You know what I mean? Like there's some influencers who do, and good for them, but I'm not in that space. And so I don't know if I will
share hand jobs.
Hey, I mean, I'm like, good for you. Like if my husband would be so stoked.